Agora a gente vai ver o segundo episódio do documentário que tá tendo de Arcane no YouTube, tá? No League of Legends, no YouTube do League of Legends bonitinho. Deixa eu botar aqui em português para nós vermos. É isso. Depois daqui a gente vai jogar. Tá bom? Não LOL, obviamente. Mas vamos lá, vamos ver. Olha, quem é fotossensível só um pouco, mas não... É pra incentivar o ódio na solo que...
Managing Fortiche is like, sometimes I feel like a band manager. Like, guys, you're doing whatever you want, but I want you on stage at this time for the concert.
Não, Danilo não joga jogos de terror, amiga.
Always on time.
O único jogo de terror é o LOL mesmo.
So you have to trust them.
2-0!
So we are in 2017, and everybody is working really hard to deliver the pilot. And then we had a discussion with Riot, explaining to us that we are not happy with the script, with episode 2 and episode 3.
Hello, Mel, é nóis, querida.
Like, they have really said that? I think we have misunderstood them. When we arrived in LA, and then it was, hey guy, yes, we want to do a pause on the production, put everything on hold. We were like, oh my gosh, that was true.
Saindo do contexto LOL, tu chegou a ver o novo trailer de announcement do Saints Row? Não.
Everything is going to shit right now.
I guess that was pretty much at the point where they had drafted together a couple of scripts and sort of a show bible for the entire season. The next thing I know, Christian mysteriously gets pulled into a meeting, and then it was like a strange intervention where a bunch of other rioters basically told him that it sucked. It was such a blow to the team to just feel like, man, we're being told to stop completely and potentially even find different showrunners, different writers for the whole thing.
Ixi.
You know, you've been killing yourself, you know, to try and make it work and try and figure it out, and like just, I mean, your first thought, of course, is just like, is it dead?
Caralho.
We were really only able to hire all these animators with the promise that there would be a full season to work on, because, you know, they're very, very talented, and you really only get them if you have something kind of worth committing to, you know, like a multi-year project.
And so we just
Nossa, sem imaginar a data do 2 no final disso aqui, né?
Which just, I don't know, it's just like the worst thought.
I think Alex and I just felt like we suck. Like we failed, you know?
Christian's a tortured artist who can't let himself not do something great. Like, he will will it into existence because he will beat himself up and lose sleep and go crazy.
There were a lot of times during my career ride so far where I needed someone like Brandon or Mark to explore some pretty wild ideas. You know, where a lot of people would say, like, no one in the video game industry has full-time composers, you know, like, we can just hire someone from the outside as a freelancer to make some music for us. Or why would we make music videos? That's insane, you know, like, video game companies don't make music videos. Back then, it was Mark and Brandon who kind of saw the idea and like how awesome this could be, and they took bets.
Nossa, então a parte da Riot Music foi ele que iniciou?
On, you know, me being able to figure it out. So then, in the meeting, everyone left. It was just Brandon and me, and basically, I think Brandon kind of took like the moment to kind of tell me, hey, like, we'll figure it out, you know, like.
Caralho, que cara foda.
You know, like, we'll figure it out. And I just started crying.
Christian's biggest fear is letting players down. He crushes himself over it. It's actually painful for those closest to him to sort of watch, and it gives you so much respect and appreciation, and ultimately trust in what, you know, he decides to take responsibility and ownership for.
Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about our decision to delay.
Caralho, ele tá muito abalado. Meu Deus, olha a cara desse cara, velho.
A little bit about our decision. Hello, everyone.
Meu Deus!
everyone. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our decision to delay the further production of the follow-up episodes of Arcane.
I remember, I think I recorded like 16 different versions of this video because I just always was just kind of sitting there like,
And wanted to give you guys some more information about it, you know, why, what our plan is, and so on. And I'm sure you've heard from...
We did not show this. The question was, if we start with that, everybody will cry, everybody will jump out of the window.
I finally made a version of the video that I felt like was okay, and I sent it to them, only to learn a few weeks later that they were like, yeah, we never showed it to anyone because you just looked so depressed. You look like you want to kill yourself. Like, how could we ever show that to anyone?
So it was like a harsh time.
Caralho. Que dó, mano.
So we had to let the team go, which is always very painful. You're not sure they're going to be able to come back because if they go to another production, you might lose them.
We knew that we wouldn't have work for them for the months to come. So we started talking to different teams at Riot and started asking people, hey, is there anything we can do, like a music video or anything that could just keep, you know, the lights on at Fortiche. We talked to the esports team and there was a desire to make a music video.
Esse vídeo é muito foda.
Which became the Rise music video. And then we started talking to the music team and they were working on something like a crazy idea, a K-pop group.
Ah!
So they did 2 music videos with us, which I think are still some of the best, if not the 2 best, on our YouTube channel.
Thank God, Alex and I are shit at our jobs because if we hadn't taken that extra time to develop the story, the K-pop pop stars music video and
Caralho.
never happened.
Ces deux clips nous ont permis aussi de résoudre certains petits problèmes techniques qu'on pouvait avoir qu'on avait pu avoir sur le pilote et d'affirmer un peu plus le style de la série.
Mano, não tem como. A Riot fazendo music video é muito bom. Animação e música é deles.
So, you're welcome.
Mano, o que É, ele é o responsável pelos maiores acessos da Riot.
From the Undercity, I was an outsider the moment I stepped foot in Piltover. I didn't have the benefits of a patron or a name. I simply believed in myself.
At that point, the idea was I had to replace myself as like the person in charge of figuring out the story. Of course, you know, it was me and Alex, but I was responsible. We just knew we had to hire someone who's experienced as a showrunner and as writers and that kind of stuff. And that's what we tried to do. Except we couldn't really find anyone. 6 years ago, if you pitched that a video company was gonna do like an animated series that is looking for like drama screenwriters, no one really showed up. Or it was just, you know, people were in for the wrong reasons, you know, where it was like, well, I mean, League of Legends and Riot is big, but they didn't really care about the characters that much.
Ai, gente, foi muito triste. Quando eu tava lá no bagulho de Arcane, quase que eu fui no bagulho da Riot. Ai, nem sim. Deixa eu mostrar o pudimzinho pra você. Olha o pudim, sim. Ai, carinha dele. Ai, a ponta. Também. Você já jogou lá, já?
Fazendo a transição das skin novas.
Ah, tá. Você comeu já?
Tô esquentando.
Você lavou seu cabelo?
Tô fazendo as coisas, depois eu levo lá.
Nenê? Olha aqui. Ele não quer saber de nada. Ele não gosta de vocês. Ele fica com um peitão por causa do pelo, ó. Que peito grande você tem? Não? Ai, mijento. Essa meia é mó gostosa, né? Ela é mó gostosinha. Você pegou as encomendas lá embaixo ou você não desceu?
Desci não.
Tá, mais tarde eu desço, então. Você vai terminar até as 4? Tá bom. Tá. Mandei, então você fez. É a peituda metida. O Pudim colocou um implante. Então, mas quando eu e o Tio, a gente tava lá no bagulho de Arcane, a gente quase que foi visitar a Riot no estúdio, mas não podia, por causa do Covid, sei lá, e não dava.
So we looked for quite a while, and at some point
Eu queria muito ter ido aí.
we just felt like maybe we'll just kind of have to try again, but be less shitty.
And then yeah, I mean it was just start over, you know, like kind of look at what we do. That's when we started talking to showrunners, you know, like who could we bring in to just be an advisor.
That's when we found Monica Macer. You know, she was a showrunner. She worked on Lost, was someone who was really passionate about mentoring
Caralho, em
people,
Lost.
and she really helped us find the right way to realize our vision, you know, without
Aê,
necessarily
sobre,
being
Diego.
like, here's what you have to
Ai,
do.
o Couto pegou
More
a
just
Samir, eu queria muito ela.
But here's all about the process of how to craft a season, how to think about developing characters.
And then we hired, you know, a bunch of writers who'd worked in various capacities in TV. So, you know, Amanda was one of those writers.
Oh, I know. It's so good. It's so good.
You're like always
fofinho.
trying to get into the heads of your characters in any way you can. I did have one of the writers teach me how to shoot a gun, like a sniper gun, right before I was gonna write Caitlin's episode last year.
Caralho. Ai, essa história é muito foda.
We're in my house, and I have a little office here where I do my writing.
Nossa, os olhos, eu acho que os olhos e o sorriso dessa mulher me lembram da Gal Gadot.
And I have
Olha isso! Meu Deus, ela é muito parecida com a Gal Gadot. Sim, Diego, eu vou pegar ela. Eu ainda não completei os 700 pontos, a gente vai jogar mais tarde. Gente, essa mulher é muito parecida com a Gal Gadot, what the fuck?
We're in my house, and
What? Não lembra? Tipo assim, ela parece a irmã dela. Ela não é tipo a Gal Gadot, entendeu? Ela tem, tipo, os traços muito parecidos com o dela, entendeu? Não é que, tipo, ela é parecida, irmã dela. Tipo, ela literalmente parece alguém que é parente da Gal Gadot, velho. Que bizarro.
I have a little office here where I do my writing.
Que bizarro. Nossa, eu olhei pra ela e falei, com essa mulher de algum lugar.
Through the kitchen, into my nook. I have these lights I turn on at night to sort of inspire me. There we go.
Ai, que fofo.
They'll have scripts that they'll send over to you as
Ela tem um
kind
sorriso
of a
lindo.
sample of their work.
As duas.
And Amanda, I think with hers, it was comic book video game scientist. And her story was about a future world where we've colonized the moon. And I was like, this seems like it could be a good fit for us.
I would prefer not to have a punching bag in my living room, but that's just what we do right now. So I actually never thought about how my kung fu translates to learning how Vi's a fighter.
Como elogiar alguém, nossa, você é muito parecida com a Gal Gadot. Ave Maria, se alguém fala isso na minha vida, eu falo, é isso aí mesmo. Obrigada, entendeu? Eu posso morrer feliz.
But there's a fight scene in episode 5 of season 1, which is the episode I wrote. one of the things I'm like so proud of is it's like between two women with like a different body type, different like both like really muscular. They're doing moves that you haven't necessarily seen women do before on screen. I always think of fight scenes as like being just like another talking drama scene. Like there has to be a turn, there has to be motivations, you have to learn something new about the character in the fight that you didn't know before.
Ah, esse braço dela é muito foda.
And then of course, she's saved by another woman. 3 women in a fight scene, it's fucking dope, so.
Amanda just has a really honest voice in her dialogue
No,
that is just really grounded emotionally. I remember this moment when Alex and I were really wrestling with the last words that Jinx was saying to Vi in season 1. And then like Amanda took the script and solved it in like, I don't know, an hour.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to. Even though I'm different. But you changed too. So, here's to the new us.
Amanda just wrote that, and Alex and I were just like, yep, that's it. And we just couldn't do that, you know?
I think the big...
Ela não lembra um pouco a Camilota, mas é porque a Camilota também parece a Gal Gadot. É um multiverso.
This change from the way that we were looking at it before was, it was very plot heavy, right? It's very focused on kind of like, what's the problem that has to get solved? Who's gonna fight who? What I think most improved after kind of working with these writers was sort of like the emotional story for the characters.
I'm quite proud of the cold open too, the like whole beginning of the season with the bridge.
Verdade, então ela também parece todo multiverso.
Used to be the cold open from episode 3 when Silco was drowning. I sort of went out on a limb being like, so guys, I know you hired me to help out with the show and whatever, but you need to change the pilot. That's a lovely poetic image, right? But it wasn't telling the story of the series, which is these 2 sisters being torn apart.
That's when I came in as a CEO, taking this big role with the idea of becoming a multi-game developer and a multi-game publisher, which on its own is a really difficult challenge to go from that one hit to multiple games. And then there was this little curveball, and oh, and by the way, we have this TV show, which probably is going to cost us, you know, a massive 9-digit budget. There is a lot of risk in this.
To be completely honest, Niccolo and I were always on like completely opposite spectrums. He's a business person.
Dá vontade de jogar Arcane, aí você entra no LoL e tem vontade de agir como a Jinx.
He's someone who's just extremely smart in like a rational way. He doesn't really let himself get carried away by like his emotions or like by his own personal attachment to anything. And I'm the opposite. I always have opinions. I'm always, you know, emotionally attached to the stuff that I work on. I'm an artiste, I guess.
Christian, actually, I remember I bring him in my office to say, hey, we've decided if we're gonna fund you for a full season. He had done the pilot, and you know we paused, and I told him like we're not gonna fund a full season for Arcane. And then I told him like I think it's really important you understand why, because you and I can be on a different page, but it's very important you understand where I'm coming from. And the reason I'm not going to validate you to move to a full season is because I'm going to allow you to move to multiple seasons. And so I kind of trolled him a bit.
He pulled a bit of a prank.
And I think he was really pissed at me for this.
Óbvio, caralho!
So yeah.
Vocês ouviram, né? Múltiplas seasons. São várias seasons.
Definitely gave me the trust that I needed to develop Arcane the way that Fortiche and our team at Riot needed to do it, you know, which was not the easy way, but like really this like pursuit of like, hey, this is
o coração do maluco parou.
ambitious and crazy, but we need you to trust us, and he did.
You need to stay committed to players because nothing's going to be easy. There will be many moments where you want to give up. I know Christian went through this multiple times. We went through this multiple times, and you need to have the grit and the courage to continue for players.
As we were looking at trying to scale a lot more, and then we had season 1 in production, and we started to think about how are we gonna do the first development of season 2 at the same time. That's when we started looking for someone to help figuring out the production scale a bit more.
It was tough because we couldn't find the right culture fit. A lot of people kind of shied away from like, hey, this isn't normal TV, this isn't normal animation. I think I'm just gonna go, you know, insert any animation studio out there.
Eu vou ali.
But
Na volta a
finally,
gente
one time
vê.
I got connected with a woman named Melinda Dilger.
Hey guys, come on in.
Caralho, o pé direito dessa casa, maluco.
Welcome to Casa de Dilger. I work here because of COVID. This is Willie Nelson. He's the boss of Arcane, right?
Aí, gente, a gente já sabe de onde veio o Arcane. Veio do Willy, entendeu? Se a gente quiser enaltecer alguém aqui, vamos enaltecer o Willy, certo?
Here, he's in all the meetings. He loves it.
Ai, meu Deus, a linguinha dele! Você entende que o maluco é muito pica, que ele tá lidando com uma pica gigante de fazer vários jogos de uma série. Sim.
Yes.
I just loved talking to her. She had such a warm energy. She just also had experience. Like, I mentioned some of the issues that we were dealing with, and she seemed unfazed by it.
This is where all my meetings happen. It's very exciting. This is where I burn off my energy. And I got that when I worked on Mary Poppins Returns, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
I remember sitting down all of the stakeholders, and I think I literally told them, you better not pick this up. I like her, she's awesome. If you pick this up, I'm gonna kill you.
I was producing by the time I was 24. That was when I was really young.
Caralho.
I worked on Darkwing Duck. That was my very first animated show to be on as production assistant. I was working on Goof Troop, Aladdin. I won an Annie Award. That's kind of a big deal right here. This is very proud of this.
Da hora.
Nice. I know whenever people tell me, they're like, oh my gosh, I watched that as a child. I'm like, oh, I'm so old. It's okay. It's okay.
Eu sabia que ela ia falar isso, tipo, tá, eu imagino, tipo, se isso acontece comigo, imagina com ela que é mais velha.
You know,
o Miguel
now
Mouse.
everybody looks at me and they say, we're so glad we have somebody with so much experience on the show, which really equates to old, but it's okay. I can take it, you know. Riot's a very young company.
And I am rolling. All right, I think you've had enough, mate.
Yeah, the team health when I first started wasn't so great. Everyone was like,
Meu Deus!
Man, this team, they need some loving. They need some loving.
Making the show that we kind of set out with Arcane, you know, with the right designs for these characters that work in our IP.
N Award, é o Oscar da animação, né?
Is complex. If your expectation is that you're gonna work on something creatively where you're gonna have no pressure or no feeling of like being overwhelmed at times, then you're working on something the world is gonna forget.
By then, I think I was super exhausted because I was like 3 years into the project or something. I know Christian was exhausted, Alex was beat, and like she brought in that new energy and just sort of this like, yep, let's pick it up and let's go.
How are you guys feeling? Are you exhausted? Are you okay to keep going? From what I was hearing, it was just taking them a long time to kind of get their bearings. And let's face it, Fortiche, our animation partner studio in Paris, they had also never produced a series. So you have a bunch of newbies trying to figure this out. And lo and behold, it is really a difficult process, and it's a challenging one, even for those of us that have been in the business for a really long time. You missed a really long, important strategy meeting that answers all the questions of the universe.
That was a Rosebud meeting.
For Riot and beyond. The Rosebud meeting.
Melinda was always someone that is extremely inspiring.
Caralho, parece ser muito da hora trabalhar com essa mulher, velho. Tá bom. O do Bob Esponja eu vi, eu tava vendo a live do Lyric, ele tava vendo a conferência da THQ, eu vi. Eu mostrei até um jogo no início da stream, que é o Space for Sale, parece muito com Astroneer.
And creating a team atmosphere where
parece muito da hora trabalhar com ela, velho.
Tough, as long as you just kind of believe in the team and have the right dream together.
Like, you know, well, you know, you can get everything in New York like that. Oh, gee. Oh, God.
See, you guys didn't think you'd be on behind the scenes, and here you are. There's Eric Bergman, our post supervisor. Hi, Eric's used to all the publicity. Eric, you're on mute. See, this is what we do every Zoom call.
Hello.
Somebody's always on mute.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I just came in and kind of rolled up my sleeves and went from department by department, just trying to get everybody together and get to
Ela
know
demonstra
each
preocupação com a
individual
equipe,
on the
né?
team
É,
as a
exato, isso é
person.
raro, sim.
This is a French studio and there's no wine, but you have IPA.
It's like there's two teams, the beer team and the wine team.
Well, where's the wine? And that's part of building team trust. And then you can start to actually solve the problems. Dig deep. That's what you got to do. So this is our production schedule.
Meu Deus, o tamanho do pergaminho.
2020, that's when this started. And then it goes all the way through the last episode. Because this is the first series Riot's ever done, a lot of things are getting figured out and developed as we go along in production. So it's taking a little bit longer than it typically would on a television series that's all thought out. Everything's figured out way ahead of time. This is like, how can we make this more unique and more special than any other show on television? Let's take our time and do it right. And if it takes us a little bit longer to get those scripts done, that's what we do.
There's a natural balance of power, and you just gave everybody nukes. Congratulations.
Oi, Lily.
This is the thing that's always been a little fuzzy to me, is just kind of how we end this episode with the Victor Singe thing.
Yes, I would love to bring Vi back into Caitlin's mind in this episode in some way. I wrote like something about missing Vi. That I
Meu Deus, ela é muito, os sonhos dela é muito parecida com a da Gal, cara, eu tô assustada. Ela é muito linda.
Take the IP that's there.
Acho que eu sou muito apaixonada na Gal Gadot, né, gente?
From the games
Oi, William.
and turn it into something really awesome for television is a challenge. They're gonna spend more money than most people.
Sim, nada
to get
vazou.
it there, but they're doing it because they love the players and they want the players to be happy. And it's special. It's like you don't just see them as these little tiny things walking across the screen. By putting them on television, they have soul and they're deep and you can relate to them.
Eu não gosto da Jinx, não, viu? Tira esse negócio daqui.
One of the biggest questions we had, though, was, can this be sustained over 6 hours? Will people watch something like this and fall into the
Eu nem sei qual é a extensão, Diego, mas aqui não dá pra usar nada disso daí, não.
immersion of the animation?
Do you actually have that quality to mesmerize an audience by staring at two characters, not saying a word? It's all between them in the air and the emotions. We all want to take animation to this place of mature drama, subtlety and nuance, style and innovation, but it doesn't exist, and I think we together can do it.
Oh. Nossa, velho, é muito foda, cara. Nossa, que foda. Muito foda. Ai, que frio. Ai, eu quero ver o resto.